Hey everybody, it's Katusa Cam. It is let's see, Tuesday night, November 12th. I hope everyone had a wonderful Veterans Day. So, um, I have a really cool story that I want to share with everybody, and it has to do with the 1984 Olympics. And it's just about how awesome God is, and that when God wants to put you somewhere, um, he can do it just all by himself. So when I was growing up, I I wanted to be a sports broadcaster, and I used to watch sports on TV all the time, and it was just awesome for me. And I wrote a column in the local newspaper for like years, and it was about sports because that was what I wanted to do. So anyway, um, this is a God story because what happened was I was living in Los Angeles at the time, and I was about 20 years old, well, 19, and I was working at Save on Drug, and I was living in a little house in Redondo Beach. Well, no, not then. I was living by I was renting a room somewhere in Torrance. Anyway, they were looking for volunteers. So I went down and I filled out some paperwork. I can't even tell you where. I just went to some office and I filled out some paperwork and didn't think anything more about it. I think it was probably 1983. And all of a sudden, like March or something of the fall of 1984, I get this letter in the mail. And it says, "Congratulations, you've been chosen to go for an interview at UCLA to for an interview for work on the uh, Olympics." I was like, "Cool! Oh my gosh! Like a dream come true. I'm going to UCLA." Um, and so I go to this interview. Okay, see that little girl right there, right in front of you with her head down? That's Mary Lou Retton. Okay, that's me with some ABC behind the scene guys. And this guy is a famous boxer, and I can't remember his name. He was a heavyweight. And that's what the Coliseum used to look like. I don't even know what it looks like anymore. And these guys right up here, they were playing piano. It was an amazing summer. But anyway, so I go to this interview at UCLA, and I hand them my letter, and this guy's looking at me, and he goes, "How did you get this letter?" And I was like, "In the mail." And they're like, "No, how did you get this letter?" And I was like, "In the mail." And he's like, "You don't understand. We only sent this letter out to high school seniors because this is a non paying volunteer job. And we only sent it out to people who went to high school in the immediate LA area." And see, I was 3 years out of high school because I was, I'm one of those people who has a late birthday. So basically, the week before I graduated, I turned 18. And I went to school in Lake Elsinore, which was 75 miles away. And I was like, well, all I said to him was, "I don't know why I got this letter, but I'm just going to tell you right now, I've spent my whole life watching USC and UCLA football and football and broadcasting, and all I want to do, and then I ask me anything about the Olympics at that time, and this is all I want to do is, I want to be a sports broadcaster." So out of 700 people who were interviewed at UCLA, I was one of 60 people who made the cut to be part of the prop crew for the opening and closing ceremonies of the 1984 Olympics. It was like my version of a summer intern job. And it was probably, I worked my full-time job and then I would go on my days off and I would go help the people with the opening and closing ceremonies. Oh, and that guy right here, can't even remember his name, but he worked for Disney. Wouldn't want to work for Disney now. So anyway, I tell you this story because I believed in God, but I wasn't a Christian. God made that happen. God made it happen that I got to be a part of something that was really important to me because I loved the Olympics. I had been a tennis player and a volleyball player and a basketball player, and I loved everything about what the Olympics stood for. And in 1984, and this year, because of the Paris Olympics, on YouTube, they finally put on the 1984 opening and closing ceremonies on YouTube for free. And I watched the whole thing, and I'm a big DCI, Drum Corps International, kind of fan. And pretty much almost the whole opening ceremonies, a large portion of it was just like watching an amazing DCI show. And it was the most amazing thing I ever got to do because, I met Howard Cosell, had a conversation, walked him to his limousine. We talked about being a broadcaster, and he told me I was never going to be able to broadcast because I wasn't a world champion at something in the football realm. And you know what? It's still right. There's no women calling play-by-play in football to this day. And then on opening ceremony day, I was in the Clippers arena where they had the staging area for all of the performers, for all of the tech people, and for all the athletes. And I was a big, gigantic fan of Dwight Stones. And most people don't even know who he was, but at one point in time, he had been the world record holder in the high jump. He won 2 bronze medals, one in 1972 and one in 1976. And of course, because we didn't go to the Olympics in 1980, not like 84 was his last shot, and he used to wear Mickey Mouse on his shirt. But what I saw in that staging area at the arena were all these people, all these athletes, all these amazing people who had earned the right to go to an event that so few people ever get a chance to ever see in their whole life or even be a part of. And what I saw at that moment were athletes and friends greeting each other, happy to see each other. I saw an amazing amount of camaraderie, and the energy in the room was one of joy and happiness and just, it was something so tangible that at that time I thought to myself, I bet this is what heaven's going to be like someday. When we all get there and we all see each other again and we're all gathered together and greeting each other like old friends. There was no competition. There weren't any of these issues about what goes on today now. It was people who respected each other, loved each other, had something in common because they worked so hard just to get there. And this picture that you're seeing here, that's at the opening ceremonies. I had some tickets and somebody that I knew wanted to go, so I let him take pictures of this. This was a dress rehearsal for the opening ceremonies. And so I was the prop person for the dancers. I'd spent all summer with them, getting them ice and running around and getting things. And I was on the field putting all the poles and sandbags on for the balloons and all sorts of things. And other things happened where I got to sit in Lionel Richie's, dressing room trailer. And I got to be on the field in the closing ceremonies and watch Lionel Richie, do a concert for free, But it was that feeling of like, this must be what heaven must be like. And then somebody who I'd known, actually it's this older lady right here. We were all doing stuff together. Um, she said, "Oh, Cammie, I think I've seen Dwight Stones. I know where he is." And I was like, "What?" And so I grabbed a Polaroid camera. Yeah, a Polaroid camera. Well, I couldn't find the Polaroid camera. Oh my gosh, I was freaking out. I ran up to where the United States was staging, and they were like way at the very top because they were the biggest, and of course they're the last to come in because they're the home team. And I was like, "Oh my god, oh my god!" And we were walking around, and then I see him. I saw Dwight Stones. I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I can't even tell you what I was thinking. I saw him. I looked at him, and right at that moment, he looked down at me, and all I did was stick my index finger of my right hand out and motion for him to come downstairs. And he started walking towards me. And then I'm starting to freak out. And I was like, whoa, whoa, where's he going to come out? Oh, he's going to. So I ran around a corner and literally almost ran him over. It's like, oh my gosh. And he's like, "Hi." And I said, "Hi." I was like, "Oh my gosh, I have to tell you, I'm your biggest fan." And I basically rattled off like every single accomplishment that he'd ever done. He goes, "Wow, you really are a fan." I said, "Thank you so much for talking to me." He goes, "Oh, well, I just thought you needed to tell me something." I said, "Well, I am telling you this, and that I think you're going to win the gold medal. And I just think you're awesome." And he said, "Thanks." And I stuck my hand out to shake his hand, and he grabbed my hand. He gave me a big old kiss on the lips. And I was like, oh my gosh, thanks. And then I turned around and ran away. And I was screaming at the top of my lungs all the way from the top of the Clippers basketball. And I just got kissed by Dwight Stones. And I know to anybody else who doesn't really know, because that's a long time ago, he became a track and field commentator. He was brilliant. I don't even know if he's still alive. And I'm just sharing this story with you because God is an Olympic-sized God. And he just wanted to bless me. I filled out paperwork. I don't even know all the machinations of how I ended up having this situation happen in my life. And go for the gold. And I just want to say that that's because God's a loving God. If he wants to put you somewhere and he wants to bless you, there isn't anything that any man can do to stop it. And I've done other things since then, but I don't know. I'm not even going to say that. I'll save that for another video. God is an Olympic-sized God, and he's bigger than that because he made everything. And sometimes we just get blessings that we don't know how it happened, but God knew, and he knew for me at that point in time, it was very important for me. And it did. It changed my life. Billions of people saw that. And I'm one of the few people who actually got to be a part of it. And there were other stories along the way of the really neat people that I met. But it was because God loved me and wanted me to understand that he thought I was special. So I hope you're blessed from this. I hope you all have a good night. And I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye.